AI is neither a friend or a foe, it's both. It depends on how we use it. Use it to augment, not replace. Use it to set boundaries and not blur them. And remember, your role, your judgment, your intuition, that's irreplaceable. We have the most powerful tools at our fingertips. However, they still require human judgment.
Booz says tech can't be human.
What's going on, Hacker Valley fam? Welcome back to the show. It's your boy Ron Eddings here, and today's episode, it's just me again. I'm spending some solo time with you, and I'm excited to dive into today's topic because last year for Cybersecurity Awareness Month, I did this speaker circuit. I spoke at probably around 15 organizations. A few of them were Fortune 500, two of them were Fortune 50. And this talk that I did in October of last year was called AI is the Tool, Not the Toolbox. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that sentiment of AI feeling like it's everything, but also like it can't really do too much. It's not the perfect multi-purpose tool quite yet, but it is a multi-purpose tool. It has been providing value. And I wanted to share some of the do's, don'ts, gotchas, and things that you should just be aware of when it comes to artificial intelligence and investing and also over investing into it. So here's what we're going to be diving into. First, I'm going to talk about how AI can supercharge your productivity with tools that you may or may not be using yet. Second, I'm going to be talking about how AI is also becoming a weapon for hackers and scammers. You could think deepfakes and phishing. And third, I'm going to talk about why human judgment still matters the most. At the end of the day, no matter how powerful these tools are, people are always going to be the most important part of the equation. To set the stage, I want to give you an example to where I over invested in a tool. And, my story when it comes to this starts when I was around 16 years old, way before I was in cybersecurity. It was when I was looking for my very first job. And I was talking to my mom about it. And my mom was really excited when I told her that I was looking for a job because she said, "Oh, Ron, I know the perfect place. You can work with me at Giant Supermarket." Giant Supermarket is a food store chain in Odenton, Maryland. It's actually all across Maryland, but Odenton is where I'm from. My mom, she was so excited to offer me a job at the grocery store. And as excited as I was for the opportunity to get a job, I was not excited to work with my mom because working with my mom is not my dream job as a teenager. But once I got into it, as being a cashier at the grocery store, I thought I was pretty good. I was fast, I made the customers happy, and there was nothing that I liked to hear more than that beep, 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 beep. All those items going through my line as fast as possible, it felt good. And it felt so good that I actually thought I was as good as my mom. And you might be wondering, what made you think that you were as good as your mom? She's the one that got you the job. Well, I thought I was good as her because I had the cash register. And for anyone that's ever worked at a grocery store, a cash register is a magical super tool. It did all the math for me. It tracked all the items. It let me know the weird esoteric fruit codes, those little stickers that are on the fruit. And it made me really very fast. It made my customers happy to see me on the cash register because they knew that I was going to try to get them in and out quick. Well, one day I was minding my own business at the cash register, and there's these two guys that walked up. And I'll never forget them because these two guys looked like they were too cool to be shopping at the grocery store, especially my little grocery store. One of them had these long dreads, and then they both had these epic silk button-down shirts on. And I'll never forget these guys because not only did they pull up looking really cool at my cash register, but they dropped 2 Kool-Aid packets on the belt, and I rang them up, and the total was 58 cents. These two gentlemen, they handed me a $100 bill. And I thought to myself, I knew these guys were rich. They look way too cool. These silk shirts, they got to be rich, handing me $100 after buying 2 packets of Kool-Aid. That's where all the trouble started. They handed me the 100. I'm giving them their change. It was $99.42. And as I'm giving them their change back, they say, oh, hang on a second. Instead of that 100, I have 250s. Let's do it that way. So I thought, better. Okay, great. All of a sudden, I'm giving them their change back for the 50. And then they hand me a $10 bill and they say, oh, hold on a second. Let's use this instead. This is a smaller bill. And now at this point, I'm thinking something's going on because we started with 100 and you have a $10 bill in your pocket. So I'm giving them their change for the very last time, and something wasn't sitting right in my stomach. As you can guess, at the end of my shift, my manager walks up and says, Ron, your register was short by $75. Now, for a 16-year-old, this is big money and I'm in big trouble. Luckily for me, my manager was understanding and she said that this is a learning lesson. Well, the lesson for me was never become too reliant on one thing unless you really understand the full landscape and how things work. I bring this up because at that point in my life, I was over reliant on the cash register. My math wasn't the best because I'm giving back incorrect change amounts. I didn't think to ask for help, even though at some point in that transaction, I realized that there was something going on. There was something strange. And last but not least, I was too confident in being the best cashier ever, being just as good as my mother. The real learning lesson underneath all of this is the most important part of my job was human judgment. Even though my math wasn't the strongest at the time, I could have asked for help. I should have. And that's the exact situation that a lot of us are facing today is we have the most powerful tools at our fingertips. However, they still require human judgment. A lot of the most advanced tools, the tools that do the most work, require the most human judgment because they're leading you to a very specific and narrow conclusion. So you got to check, double check, and make sure that you got your stuff right. So let's shift from my very first job ever to my first job in cybersecurity. When I was 19, I had an epic opportunity. I landed my first professional role at Booz Hamilton. And Booz Allen, they gave me a big opportunity. They gave me the title as an intrusion analyst, and I was working for the National Security Agency. And for anyone that's worked there, you'll know that an intrusion analyst is just a fancy way of saying APT for the United States government. My job was very simple, a lot more simple than I thought it would be. There was 4 essential steps I had to take no matter what. The first one was to perform recon on the target. The second was to review the guidelines and policies that the NSA set in place for all of us to follow and make sure that we're not breaking the law. And then the third was run the operation, also known as the hack. And then last but not least, we always finalize things with the report. Now, that sounds simple. 4 steps, maybe a few hours of work, but in reality, this assignment could take me weeks. It took me weeks, 1, because I was new in the workplace, but 2, writing reports was my weakness. I never liked writing reports. I still don't like writing reports. That's why I'm doing a podcast. And what I would do to try to make my life a little bit easier was I started learning Python. I started to learn Python because a lot of the operations that I took were cookie cutter, where if I could write a Python script that basically wrote my report for me, then I thought it would save me time. Now, fast forward to today, if I was in that same role, AI would be a godsend. It would be a godsend because, AI is here to help us with some of those tedious, mundane tasks that are repetitive in nature, especially. And the best part about AI and LLMs that are out there today is they're exceptionally well with language related problems, which are the same ones that you and I deal with. So looking at how AI can supercharge you today, there is one clear, obvious winner for anyone in the corporate setting, the business setting, no matter the size, is meeting transcription. We all have at least one meeting a week. I know that you do. We all have at least one meeting. And a week after that meeting, we typically wonder what the heck was said in that meeting. Now, what's really important, especially for security practitioners, is that you have a great story. A lot of the organizations that are out there, they don't necessarily relate to security, but they want it. Now, what we can do is we can use meeting transcriptions for a few different use cases. The very first one is remembering what was said. That is extremely important. So you might have follow-ups that have come out of a meeting. Meeting transcribers, along with AI, they can take all of the words that were spoken and then give you a list of things that you need to do and by when was a list of things that you need to do and by when according to that meeting. Now, the second piece is getting feedback. We all want recognition. We all want promotion. If you are using AI, then here's a secret that anyone should use in cybersecurity, especially, is getting feedback on how you're doing in your meetings. If you're doing too much talking, too little talking, this is a great way to get a second set of eyes. What I typically do for any meetings that I'm on that I'm looking for feedback on is I take the transcript from my meeting transcriber. I use Fathom, and I know a lot of people use Gong and Otter AI and a lot of other tools out there. But you take the transcript and then you say, what areas were unclear that I spoke about in the meeting? What were some of the key questions that the other members of the meeting had for Ron specifically? And then last but not least, you could ask, how can Ron improve? Now, one of the things that I wish I had years ago, especially during my times at Booz Allen and previous organizations, is these meeting transcribers to really understand what my stakeholders are telling me. Sometimes, for me being technical, I would get lost in the esoteric technical information. And with that being my mindset, sometimes people are asking for something very simple, very straightforward. I need this number. If I'm trying to look too deep into the weeds and not necessarily just answer the question, it could lead to frustration for whoever I'm working with. God forbid it be my stakeholder. On the last episode, I spoke about log analysis and security analysis using ChatGPT 5. If you haven't done so already, I would recommend going back to that specific episode as well, because we get a little bit further into the cybersecurity specific use cases on how AI can help you with log analysis, but also incident response processes. Let's move on to the next example of how AI can supercharge you and what you do. I'm not a Photoshop expert. I'm not even a video expert. I am a creative, though, that has a lot of creative ideas, but I need people or tools to help translate my creative ideas into technical solutions for the video aspects. This comes down to thumbnails. This comes down to video editing, which takes a long time to review and then edit your content. What I've been doing is a lot of AI in image editing and video editing. The first use case is Photoshop. I am not a Photoshop wizard or expert, but there's one AI feature that I can't live without. Is content aware fill. Now, content aware fill is special because we've all taken a picture where someone has photobombed us in the background, which could be a little frustrating. With this feature in Photoshop and other image editing tools called content aware fill, you can remove a section of your image and then replace that section with AI. So you can take that photobomber, circle them, delete it, and then ask the AI to generate a new version of that missing piece using AI. And then you could also give it specific instructions like replace this person with a plant or replace this person with more of the background. This has been epic for helping out our organizations that we work with when it comes to video thumbnails, but also for ourselves. Sometimes when you take a vertical photo and you want to put it on the horizontal, it's not the right aspect ratio. You can use content aware fill to fill in those missing gaps to take a vertical photo and make it look like a horizontal photo. Now, the best part about this content aware fill feature is you really don't need to know how to use Photoshop at all. All you need to do is drag and drop an image into Photoshop, circle the part that you want to delete, and then hit delete. And then the last step is just to click the generative fill button, and then that's it. Now, I have one more example on how AI can supercharge you. If you haven't done so already or heard of the term, you're missing out, but vibe coding. Vibe coding is special. Vibe coding is special because it allows people with a lot of programming experience, no programming experience, some programming experience, develop applications. I've seen so many people that have a technologist mindset, but not necessarily the technologist skills, use things like Cursor, use things like Claude Code or VS Code to write code for you quickly on your behalf and do exactly what you wanted it to do without all of the expertise. Now, a year ago, I took the example of building a personal website. You know, if we're looking for a job, having a website is always a good look. You could put your portfolio on there. So I asked it to include on my personal website details about my cybersecurity background, my podcasting background, my public speaking background, and community engagement that I've done and that Hacker Valley is done. So what I did was I just gave those bits of information and I hit generate. Now, the beautiful part about tools like VS Code and Claude Code is that they drop the files to your file system. So after you generate the website, you can open it up and see what it looks like. So that's exactly what I did. And surely enough, the very first attempt, it gave me a pretty good website. Now, I will be honest, I would still want to tweak what some of these aspects look like after it generated it. But I didn't have to spend minutes, hours, days, or weeks coding up a new website. You know, for me personally, I'm a JavaScript enthusiast, but I'm not a developer. So having things like coding assistance is a game changer. Now, we could all benefit from a personal website or a blog page, but for cybersecurity professionals, how do we benefit the most? One way is by getting a job opportunity. Another way is by bug bounty submissions. There's so many organizations that have bug bounty programs. There is a company out there called XBOW. XBOW is creating a generative AI red team / pen tester, and it's impressive. It's impressive because XBOW has now reached #1 on HackerOne, which means it's one of the best hackers in the world, and it's all using AI. This is showing you the possibilities of generative coding. Now, you might not think that these are one-to-one, but the way that XBOW is working is it's looking at web applications, desktop applications, and ultimately writing code to break into them. And this is an incredible use case that is just getting started, which also leads us to how AI could sometimes be a disaster. Since 2023, when large language models really went mainstream, phishing emails have gotten really, really good. Here's one that I got after doing some work on my house. It says, "Hello, this is from Efficient Roofing. We are excited to work with you on your roofing needs. If you're interested in financing, click the link below." Clean, simple. The grammar was clean. The tone was professional. The only red flag that I saw in this email was that I had never hired a company called Efficient Roofing, but ironically, I just had some work done to my house. And I started to wonder, how would they know that I am interested in home servicing and also the fact that I just did some work? Attackers, they're using AI tools like Perplexity, like even ChatGPT to get this information. So I tested it out. I told Perplexity to search the web for Ron Eddings, consider my personal values, and write me a personalized email from a friend. And Perplexity, it went to my website. It went to LinkedIn. It even checked out a few podcast episodes. And the result was really, really good. It was a perfectly tailored scam email. And it's not just text, it's deep fake voices too. When we were at DEF CON last year, someone brought a deep fake voice for one of my interviews, and it was a deep fake voice of myself. So we did what any smart person would do to try to test out this deep fake voice. We called my mom. Now, before I tell you what my thoughts are about it, I'll go ahead and play it. So Mom, take it away.
Mom, it's me.
Hey, what's going on? Hello? I can't
Hey.
hear you.
What's
Hello?
up? I can hear you. What's on your mind?
What's your mind?
Oh, just thinking about tech and podcasts. How about you?
You say what?
I was just thinking about tech and podcasts. What are you interested in?
Do you know this is your mother?
I didn't realize. It's great to hear from you. What have you been up to?
What have you been up to?
Mom, it's me. I was
I know it's you.
that was an AI voice.
I thought it was. I sit up there and say, this really don't sound like him. And I think somebody's yanking my chain right about now.
So how do you think my mom did? I don't think she fell for it. Now, she did stay on the phone for a little too long, but she asked some great questions. One of the best questions that she asked that to me set off all the red flags was she said, "Do you know this is your mother?" Now, that is what we call a vibe check. When it comes to AI, LLMs, deepfakes, these fake personas, one test that is synonymous to the vibe check is called uncanny valley. Uncanny valley means that there's something that is just a little off about what you're seeing or what you're hearing. Now, when you hear or see something that is a little out of alignment to what you're used to, the best thing that you can do is ask questions in that moment. But think about the damage if this technology is misused. It could lead to reputational attacks. It could lead to social engineering, which we tried on my mom, but also disinformation. We could lead someone on to believe that something's happening that actually isn't. Attackers, they're innovating with AI just like the defenders are. So where does that leave us? At the end of the day, AI is just a tool. It's like my old cash register or that very first computer that I worked on at Booz out in Hamilton. It's just a tool. The real difference is us and what we do with the tools, the information, and most importantly, with our teams. Human judgment is the ultimate defense. What my mom showed me in that deep fake was priceless. She showed me levels of curiosity, questioning, skepticism. And this goes back to one of the principles that we all love in cybersecurity, zero trust. So think of yourself as a protagonist in whatever endeavor that you pursue, especially in cybersecurity. You are the hero. AI, it creates the vulnerabilities, yes, but it also gives us the opportunities. And it's up to you on how you decide to use them. So let's land this plane. AI is neither a friend or a foe, it's both. It depends on how we use it. Use it to augment, not replace. Use it to set boundaries and not blur them. And remember, your role, your judgment, your intuition, that's irreplaceable. So here's my challenge for everyone listening. Look at all the ways that you're using AI today. Ask yourself, in what ways is AI serving you? And in what ways are you serving the AI and need to stop being over-reliant on it? I appreciate everybody for spending some time with us, listening and watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, it would mean the world to us if you liked, subscribed, and shared it with someone that you also think would enjoy it. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and keep checking out those vibes, and we'll catch everyone next time.